Why don't you start by, where were you born?
Where I was born?
Mhm.
I was born in 51 Dupont Street.
Mm-hmm.
In the old days, Pender Street was not Pender, but Dupont. You want the year I was born?
Sure, what year were you born?
1907.
1907. That was the year of the riot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I remember that. My parents told me when they had this banquet, what you call it, for a month-old baby or something like that, and they had serving food in the restaurants, and the what you call the laborers, they walk on Chinatown, they smash the windows.
Mm. This is at your Negamun Yagodoa.
Yeah. That's what my parents told me. That's why I never forget the 1907.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where did you go to school?
I went to Central School.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And were you in a class with white children as well?
Yes. Miss Emsley, Miss Emsley was the teacher. She was the Grade 1 teacher. A lot, I think Emsley, as EMS, or a lot of students that went there, to know this. Miss Emsley.
Mm-hmm.
She was been there a long time.
Mm-hmm.
In Central School. There.
So there were Chinese and English children mixed together.
Chinese, yeah, Chinese sing together, at that time. But later on, when I get older, to different classes here, at the 3, 4, or some 5, but they have a special classes.
Mm-hmm.
They have a special class for Chinese. You see, this in the school board there, when Arts Building there. I remember went into those places.
Oh.
Later on in years. You see.
Why did they set up a separate class for Chinese?
What they put all the Chinese in the separate classes, two separate classes.
Why?
Why? Because they don't. Some of them, they have a lot of Chinese people that came over as an immigrant. That maybe their English is not good enough, you see, to start with the Greeks, you see. And even then, there's a lot of people that go to 2, 3, 4, 5, and then finally they all sent to their special classes.
Because they weren't learning English fast enough?
I don't know. Maybe not fast enough. I was very lucky. I was able to go right through to almost entrance classes. But a lot of them, they went through those conditions. And a lot of Chinese. Therefore, they know they couldn't make any headway in their school. A lot of them applied for transfer to different schools. That's the situation. That's a true situation. But I was lucky to go right through, right through the entrance classes until,
So some children couldn't pass the grades, and they couldn't.
I was too young to know those things. But that was the situation. I know some that soon they get to a certain grade, and then the teacher, for some reason, I don't know what the reason, but they sent to this class. They sent to two special classes. I think the name is Mr. Stewart. You see, the name is Mr. Stewart. You see, the one teacher, and the other teacher, Mr. Flett, Flett. Mr. Flett. He's a Scottish accent. See, doesn't talk English very clearly. Well, he holds as far as I know, he holds a master's degree from Aberdeen University. See?
Yeah, right. How did the white children? How did the white schoolmates treat you?
Well, I think a little the idea should be looked down on you, see, chink or something, like this, you see.
They called you names?
Yeah, yeah. Or a lot of times they call it chink or something, Chinaman, Yeah, they seem to have a very low impression, being Chinese. Of course, I was a Canadian, what the heck, but they don't look at it that way. They seem to be very deep rooted in the outlook. So unless they are what you call a Caucasian type, you see, they think Orientals, So this way I look at in those days.
I thought children might not hold those ideas. I thought children might be fairer.
But those days are different because because that's why they have this what you call this right there, because they figure the Chinese were taking all the jobs away from the Canadian workers. You see, that's why. You see. And then that big riot. You see, I remember. I remember after I think when the riot was over, I think Mackenzie King, Mackenzie King, he was the Minister of Labour at the time. He came out and mediated the dispute, you see, and the Chinese got a reward. But at that time, later on, I found in life that that this Chinese Honorary Council, Mui Bắc Hin was it. He's a station in Portland. He came out to represent the Chinese government. This was in the Manchu times. The reason I know Mr. May came over because later I remember I told you I was in the council service.
Yeah.
I happened to be down in Portland, see, and I was invited by Council May. He invited me, see, because I knew one of the colleagues, you see. And those I was in that service in those days, in the 30s something, I forgot, 35 or something like that.
But back to the day of the riot when 即係你話你哋嗰日係擺滿月酒，你出世嗰陣時。
My parents told me 啫。
Yeah.
你飲酒咁，佢喺外邊呢lock down Chinatown，喂，掉到晒啲玻璃窗咯。
咁你嗰圍酒點樣啊？即係唔食飯咁人飲酒。
我唔知得噶咯，because that's my parents told me. See, I was just I don't know to it. I remember that's the year I was born. You see,
Yeah.
That's how I come. And these other things like Mackenzie King. That I read this later on in the history. Mackenzie, the Minister of Labour, came out, and then this council made that. These are found later in my life. So these things.
咁你細個有冇讀唐書啊？你細蚊仔？
Yeah. Well, we started out with the Hai Wing Sang the Yip family there. 第一個先生叫做朱艾婷，唔知邊個？朱艾婷佢教我哋讀書。I got to start the Chinese school there, for a while, and then later on, old man Yip Sang, he opened up a Chinese school there, back in 51 East, and all the elder Yips and I was very young then. So under the school teacher was Yip Bo Lam, Yip Bo Gui個寶咧，士林兩木嘅林咧，佢係東莞嘅人He dressed like in Chinese 嗰啲先生咁佢教我哋晚黑教我讀書禮拜又教That's why I start and then.
What did he teach you? 佢教啲咩嘢？
教嗰啲人嗰啲 start 變咗 primary 嗰啲人嗰啲人啊山啊水啊嗰啲手足兄弟咧咁講。
咁教你寫字，教
寫字，教你揸字嗰啲。Yeah. Then the old man, grandfather Yip Sang, every night come into the classroom in the corner and咁睇sort of supervise 下啲人But he came here, but he's so quiet, because the old man Yip Sang was a very commanding person,人個棍好似自己拋嘅
Really?
Oh yeah.
Why?
I don't know. He got really a lot of respect for him, see, Yeah, he's a very disciplined person, see. Just like, high school I went to King at the time, General like the principal, Mr. Ferguson, see. Good, when he, on every Monday, you see, on the auditorium, he stood up just like a general, because he was in the armed forces, see. Everybody used to quiet, very stern people, like a soldier.
咁喺嗰度讀書嗰啲人做都係葉生啲仔女啊？
Yeah. The family, yeah, all your family. I'm considered part of the Yip Sang family. Because I told you my grandfather and Yip Sang, they're both brothers.
咁你爸爸你阿爺咁叫咩名啊？
葉來興啊，
葉來興。
Yeah.
佢英文點樣串啊？咁
佢冇英文做來興咁啫喎，又講英文唔知咁樣嘢噶。But
咁你細蚊仔喺邊度玩啊？有冇玩啊？有冇空時間去玩㗎？
冇時間玩，冇時咪喺外邊嘅 railroad track 對面嗰個 Chinese Cultural Centre 嗰時係 railroad box cars 啫，all coming over from False Creek 嘅，我哋咪冇乜地方玩嘅咯，我咪喺嗰時嗰啲火車帶喺嗰啲 box car 嘅啱有時撞親都唔知道喎，好 very dangerous， 好險㗎 ，just lucky I'm alive now. We don't know those things. We didn't know. 細蚊仔怕咩有咩咩？你 sometimes we play False Creek 叫水咯，咪嗰時啲水反咯，冇。Because we Chinese people were scared to go out on the territory 先，佢唔係而家 all over 先，佢哋唔敢去㗎咯，我哋唐人會 look down 佢哋邊唔敢去你個 ride 你咪知道咯，人咁啊。Mostly congregated in the Chinese section 啫，就喺Shanghai 個 Carroll Street 嘅，有 Shanghai Street，and then 有佢哋廣東街 Canton Alley 先喺至上嗰邊。
咁玩嗰陣時做下都係唐人細蚊仔玩，有冇西人啊？
冇西人我好多時候我哋喺 Carroll Street 嗰時玩嘅，喺佢哋溝親嘅嗰條街嗰時，而家泊車嗰時。
喺街上面玩啊？
街玩咧，嗰個 corner 嗰時要 historical 嘅地方 corner 嘅 culture centre corner 嗰時，佢時冇自由車嘅呀，其實嗰啲 horse buggy 咯，好多嗰啲好似嗰啲咩 transfer 級你話俾啲馬咯，平嗰時咁價時做生意嘅咯。Right the corner, I remember I was a kid.
So they park there.
你哋 park 咗個馬擺住要生意咪去做，冇自由車嘅事啊。
咁細蚊仔佢哋有冇帶你去嗰啲 park 嗰度玩啊？咁樣
好少，或者我啲 friend 又唔識得嘅，佢只要得之前大個得啫，咁啊即係有時要個車裝出去時，要去 study park 啊咁咯。大啲嘅時候，初嘅時候冇，好耐未有嗰啲事講。
咁你細蚊仔最記得係有啲咩咁樣嘅高興啊？
高興係咪葉聲佢拜壽最高興咯。你個 teacher 佢 Chinese teacher 教我哋嗰啲壽歌啊，我記得幾句唔知乜嘢日子，強飲豪言再乜祝we supposed to memorize it and sing on that occasion。我記得幾個字啫啦，或者Mr. Number 6嘅葉聲個 elder 即係佢記得咯，我唔記得幾多字。
舊時唐人新年係點樣㗎？
唐新年好高興啊！唐新年呢一到12 o'clock 咁，我哋着晒衫啊，咁 all dress up，個就等門口燒炮仗，燒大炮咁過咯。好12 o'clock 燒完咁咪個 store 會掛晒啲過年嗰啲嘢啦，咁咯。我坐時等攞利是咯，人個派利是嘅。We were just waiting for get the lucky package。
有冇街外邊有冇咩活動啊？咁有冇舞獅咁樣㗎？
冇，幾時冇舞獅，燒炮仗，燒竹炮咁，燒好大個。
啲細蚊仔咁有冇去某間鋪頭咁樣去拜年咁樣㗎？
Mai kakalo si kinu ni pe na tai ho mai pa de no. Ko he mai se ko mi pe ro pe si. Vì mua các cái rồi cũng vì mua phát ra cũng cái tay mà thì hơi cái nó store cái phải có mấy bài niệm đó.
遊街呢，即係唐人街冇遊街，有冇去第二度睇遊街咁樣嘅？
冇嗰時冇咯，嗰時冇嗰時好耐嘅時候咯 ，it's too small。幾十年，而家唔同咯，而家more activity 咯。
Sure。
叫時嗰啲啊。
有冇去教堂啊 ？Go to church？
我哋冇去 church 㗎。我哋嘅屋企人冇去過 church 㗎。Yeah, never been to church.
So you went to King Edward High School?
Yeah.
And you studied there for how many years?
I graduated for 3 years.
So you graduated, you matriculated?
Yeah, matriculated, yeah.
Yeah.
Matriculated, I could tell because in those days, even hard to get a high school education. You have to hold long to go. In those days, it's tough, you know.
Yeah. How did you do it?
Well, I don't know. I'm not brilliant, but I managed to get through this. I'll get by. I don't think I'm brilliant, but I know a lot of them get flunked in the matriculation. It's a very tough examination. The junior matriculation, they call junior matriculation examination. Proposed what they call by the government in exams. But a lot of people got flunked, got subbed and flunked. I was able to get through this all, I don't mean I'm brilliant. I know it's tough, but because it's like brought up in Chinatown. It has its disadvantage because you don't communicate any Canadian people. Therefore, you don't speak English very, very properly. You see, and you don't have a knowledge of the Bible or the school. You don't go because you don't have those things. Their parents were the old Chinese types.
So you had to study harder.
Well, we went to Chinese school all the time. We went to Canadian school there and the Chinese school at night. But I learned quite a bit of my Chinese thing when I was in the council service. All those years was very, very rewarding. Not in a monetary sense, but from an intellectual sense.
Sure.
Because I got contact with all these people, and then so on, and I was able to speak Mandarin. So I always listened and learned, all these different people that pass through. Because I have to meet those people in the boat and take them off the hotel and send them down the boat. And I sort of lead them as a man, you see,
Yeah.
So I was able to, just on my own effort, I was able to pick up a lot of information, see.
Well, when you were in high school, what kind of work did you think you would get into when you graduated?
I have no clue what my future would be. No clue, because as the Chinese, the opportunities were very limited for Chinese people, see.
Did you think you would go back to China?
No, never think. Because my parents were pretty well off, you see, well, my parents, you see, So I didn't worry about much of my future, see, my parents. I'm not worried about starving and the next meals to that extent, you see. So actually,
你爸爸係做乜嘢㗎？
well, he was like an interpreter for the immigration department.
What was his name?
Yip Sing.
Yip Sing.
Yeah, Yip Q Sing, Q Sing, Sing. Yeah. Well, a lot of people know him, you see, He's, in Victoria at that time was Mr. Lee Mong Gao. He was working for the same time that my dad was working in Vancouver. At that time, and then you go pension the two people,
兩個翻譯，兩個做出翻嘅。
好似做巡話咁咧。嗰陣時 those days the job was hard to get. All Chinese people was fighting for this job. In the old days, because my father was recommended by old man Yip Sang, being the first nephew. See? So that's how my dad got his job. But my dad was working at the Yip Sang store before that.
Is that right?
Yeah, because my other uncles, they were younger then, so they weren't able to do the work. So my dad was the first nephew, so he worked for old man Yip Sang for a long time at the stores, looking after everything, like a general store.
Where did he learn his English?
Well, I guess my dad was We push him out too. I think he learned at a certain time at school maybe pick up himself.
Was he born here too?
No, born in China.
Born in China.
Yeah.
Wow. So he would be working for immigration, and when the people came in from China, he would.
Yeah, well, he come in and they have to go for they have to lock up in a detention shed, you know, and then they have to wait for examination. As you see, I remember my dad. You know, he was a very kind man. See, where he was very kind because this from my personal experience that a lot of these Chinese boys are so young and so on, they lock up in there, you know, for a long time. And they kind of lonesome. So my dad, on his own initiative, he built it up and taken up to the house. You see,
He took them into Chinatown.
took it back to our home. Yeah, you know, put it at the home and look after them, and then send them into different cities. Yeah, I remember that. See, because I saw it myself. I went down to immigration all the time with my dad, being the oldest boy. See. So I remember Dad was a very kind man.
He would help the kids that were on their own.
Even the old days, a lot of Chinese people say my dad was a good person, all across Canada. He mentioned my name as household words, you see. Even ladies, even Vancouver, the old timer. Because Dad was, he was a very kind man. I told you, I stressed this point. See.
He wanted to help people.
Definitely. He was a very warm person, I tell you that thing. He was a very warm person.
Yeah. There must have been a lot of different ways that he could help people.
I think you're right, because I think you're right. There's a lot of things in life, you know, you can help people. See? Different ways. A lot of people look at direct ways. The only way to help people is by giving them money, you see. But there's a lot of people in this world need help besides these things. See? There's a lot of people in the homes and not happy, or sickness, or so whoever knows what help they need.
Yeah. Well, what happened to you after you graduated from high school?
Well, I graduated from work. I look for work, you see, and I stepped into the consulate, you know, Vancouver consulate. At that time, the Peking government. That's a job with no future. So I knew because I had to do something. So I got into the consulate as a what you call a apprentice, or what you call as a hired people. No future. So all that time, no pay, not much pay, but I went there. So during all this time, I dig up all the files, you see, in my spare time, you see, so see how they run the bureaucracy, see how they run it, see. So the Chinese and English documents. So I took all my time, and I have an idea how they function, see, you know, with the services, see.
So when you started, they weren't even paying you. You just went to look at their files and to
No,
help.
I thought they paid a little bit, a small pay, see, but I was interested in getting learning more and more knowledge, you see, because my parents, you know, is quite well off.
Yeah. How did you get the job? Why would they pick you?
It's through my parents, you see. You happen to know what a counselor is, you see. Yeah. And then in a space of three years, during that time the Peking government was collapsed, and then the new government took over, you see, and then appoint a new council, you know, from Nanking, you see. I think his name is Mr. C. Ki Chow, Joe Heike, you see.
Joe Heike.
Yeah.
What year was that?
1930, you see.
1930.
Yeah. And then he took over, you know, and then he did, I think, he... Just a minute. Yeah, so he he came over. At that time, I was working with another colleague, the deputy council. That was his Nellie's husband, Wong Qinglun. See, and another is fellow, the colleague of mine is Lui Jikin. See, could have a back. Wong Qinglun is Sichun. See, so they at that time, later on, Mr. Chow came here, then Mr. Wong got transferred to Chicago. See. Mr. Wong got transferred to Chicago. Mr. Lee, he got promoted to Penang. See. So the boss, I think they want me. Mrs. Chow wanted me to take over Mr. Lee's job as a chancellor, and I wrote my English applications myself. I drafted it. I lost the copy, but I wasn't not a good writer to do things. But I was have an idea, of the minister's outlook towards the people. I understand he will always want to give the young people chances. With that theme in my mind, so I built up a letter. So I show it to Mr. Liu. He said, Dick, he said, before I get back to Nanking, you'll be appointed to take my job. He was very sure. But they helped to put with the Chinese application. I couldn't write Chinese very well. Chinese application, they wrote another application. In Chinese, Mr. Liu helped drafted an official letter with this English one. I think March 28, 1930, I was one morning. The council come and shake hands with me. He said, "Mr. Congratulations, you're appointed, assistant, chancellor of council."
That's 1930.
1930, yeah, March 28th.
That's the start of a real busy period in Chinese history, because in 1931 Japan attacks. So that whole decade in the 1930s, there's a lot of activity, a lot of politicking, and fighting in China. What?
Yeah, that's right. See, when the Peking during the Peking time, when there's no patient up to the foreign offices, but only after the what you call the National School War, they start getting money over. But as you said, during the Japanese invasion of China, they call Dick Yip, I remember all these things. Mutin, the Japan, wanted to take Manchuria. It started the war.
What were some of the highlights of your job there, working for the consul?
Oh, there are so many, but I forgot. I think to me is the highlight of my job is I can learn more. I can pick up the Mandarin language and start to appreciate the Chinese history and culture, and the family relationship of life, and more respect to spiritualism than materialism. And the northern people who respect cultures,
They're very different from the southern people?
Yeah, a little different, because that's where I learned a lot of my Chinese protocol, customs and so. This is where my background is. A lot of people think they don't really know this background Chinese. You don't know I'm so involved with it.
You said earlier that Yip-sang Asangba was quite a disciplinarian. People were afraid of him, but he was
not a freak, but they sort of, exactly, in that respect, Yeah.
He's quite a well-known man. He was a very successful merchant. He's a very famous sort of pioneer. What do you think was what's the secret to his success? What made him such a well-known and revered person?
Well, I think his passion for helping people, I think. Because I remember a lot of the Chinese people that come over there and they got no money. They stay there for a lot of, so live in the place there, see. They have no money, but they don't pay, they get all the food free, you see. But when they went back to the different towns across Canada, and then when they make it, they send it out, you see. A lot of people, and most of the time, a lot of Yips staying there, he supported, you see. It's more respect for the family life, you see. That's what I think he's successful because of his respect for the family life. Just like the Jewish people, you see. They always the Jewish people help each other. I think the downfall of the new people, what you call it, your generation time, because they don't want to help, They always consider themselves as a separate identity, see. Mind you, because that has some advantage too. Any system has some disadvantages, see. Because because the Chinese consider they should help each other, you see, in the family life, you see.
That's right.
Hmm?